Okay, I'm going to call this special meeting of the Excise Board of Oklahoma County to order. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025. It is 9:25 a.m. and we have a full house. Mr. Brett Town,
Present.
Ms. Teresa Sellers,
Present.
and I'm Eleanor Thompson. Notice of this meeting was properly posted June 23rd. We have 9 items on the agenda. The first one is discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of our meeting of June 16th, 2025.
If there's no changes, I move to approve the minutes as stated in item 1.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now recurring items. Item 2, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2488. It's the filing of the Middale School District Number 52 tentative budgets for the upcoming fiscal year 25-26 as follows. Their general fund in an amount of $119,700,734. Their building fund in an amount of $7,580,667. Their child nutrition fund in an amount of $7,099,965. The special building fund for their tech center building fund number 23 in the amount of $3 million. Their debt service fund in an amount of $18 million, and the co-op technology fund in the amount of $10,017,773. This item is requested by the County Finance Department of the Office of the County Clerk. I don't remember all those funds.
Well, it went up quite a bit from what last year, unless something happened in that time that I was gone in July. Is that what your records show, that it went up?
I didn't look over these.
But you
Any
told
particular fund that went up?
the food thing, you said that almost everybody gets free lunch now, and that's why that one goes up.
In those poor districts that have high Title I numbers.
But do they pay for? They have a lot of veteran kids or military kids. Do we pay for them?
It's all based on parent income, so
Okay.
they could get probably reduced at least.
Yeah, I show what we approved last year in September of last year was 25 million, well over 25 million for the general
Combined.
fund, and a little 3.6 million for the building fund, and it's more than double for the building fund. The general fund is now 119 million. I mean, it's a pretty significant.
Well, this is an estimate of their whole year. I don't know what that September one would have been.
They would have been
It probably would have been an adjustment.
an adjustment.
Could be, yeah, because then they did an increase in November. Looks like 800,000.
Their final budget would be the one that we approve in December or January. Get all of it in based on their midterm adjustment.
Right. Because they have to report back how many kids they actually got. This is based on the test. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anything under the child nutrition.
This is about what they should be with their student account.
Yeah, they did have a very large sinking fund though last year, so maybe that's.
I'm surprised most schools don't put their debt service in this.
That wasn't there.
Do you know why they do and don't? Or
Not particularly in this case, unless they passed a bond recently.
I do. Middale's a little different. They operate their own career tech center.
Yes.
So some of these co-op funds and their special building fund for tech center are part of it. So
Yeah, that was the extra thing that we approved last November was for the co-op tech center. Specifically, that's what my notes said.
but if there's, I didn't see anything wrong with it. So if there's no objections, I'd like to move approval of item number 2.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2489. This is the filing of Putnam City School District Number 1's proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year 25-26 as follows. their general fund in the amount of $192,940,304. Way higher. Building fund in an amount of $9,560,000. Their child nutrition fund in the amount of $16,322,937. This item is requested by the County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk. Are they larger than?
Yes, they're larger. They're still losing students, but from their high, they had a high of about 19,000 about 20 years ago, and they're dropping still.
West is really dropping.
Yeah, they're actually a little bit less than where they ended up last year, but they did have 2 amendments last year, so we'll see what happens. Everything else looks pretty much to what I can see.
And I'd like to move approval of agenda item number 3.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 4, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2510. This is the filing of the school budget for the fiscal year of 2025-26 for Epic Charter Schools. Their total budget appropriated in the amount of $223,915,084 for general funds. This item is requested by the County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk.
I am highly concerned about this school district
Yes.
and their finances. In 2024, they had a budget of $342 million
Right.
and a carryover of 16.39%. And they're ending this year at $299 million
Now they're only
and
asking.
0.29% carryover. So the way school finance works, and they're 100%, 99% state aid. You don't get state aid in July. You don't start getting it until August. So they had to go out and borrow, which is something I don't even think a school district. I know a non-charter school district couldn't go borrow money. They'd have to issue interest-bearing warrants. So, and they did that in the tune of $30 million just to make expenses in July and probably part of August till they get their check. So I'm very concerned, and I know they've had the superintendent resign and the CFO resign. Their budget this year is $65 million less than the previous year. So maybe they've got it under control, but I think people are, because they've had to cut services so much and the way they've done business, that they may get a lot of people who are disillusioned and seek other avenues. I don't know, but I'm very concerned about this school district. We need to watch this budget this year.
The other thing is they may be getting audited to the point that they're making them be a little more accurate on their head count, because I had friends who were principals who the kids were in their school and Epic was carrying them and getting money for them. So I think they got audited to the point that they can't do that quite as easily as they did it before.
Well, they changed the law a few years ago that you were on the highest 3 years average. So, if you had a declining enrollment, you were still at your highest amount for that 3-year period, and they don't do that anymore. But this is, I know they're being audited basically by the state charter school board. They're looking at that, but their salaries and their bonuses that they gave, which is very atypical. Teachers getting bonuses to the extent they were giving them 40-50% of their salaries. Just don't know about this, and I'm very concerned. We just need to watch the big bottom line on this as they come forward with requests. But saying all that, they've got to start the school year and get going. So move approval of item number 4.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2170. This is the filing of the third amended school budget for the fiscal year 24-25. Epic Charter Schools increased to 299,799,693. This increase accounts for actual expenses for the fiscal year. This item is requested by the County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk. This is reflecting, but this has a different. Uh, does this account for them having to go borrow the money? Is that why there's the
I
difference?
think that's going to be in the book in the next fiscal year. It should, if it doesn't show up on their spreadsheet, but yeah, I think that is to cover, I believe what I've read is to cover expenses in July, probably some of August, which would be the next fiscal year.
Right. Okay.
So in all the layoffs they've had and the firings and such reductions, they still have to pay those people for this fiscal year.
Right.
But it's also, they're getting paid, they're getting a check in June, July, and August. So it's, they have to use those carryover funds. But again, I'm concerned about a 0.29% carryover.
Okay.
Just move approval of item 5.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2531. This is the temporary appropriations for the John W. Rex Charters Elementary District G-007 for the fiscal year 25-26 as follows. Their general fund in the amount of $7,051,369. Their building fund in the amount of $636,963. This item is requested by the County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk. So they split their elementary school from their, or are they just an elementary school? Are they now
I'm
up
not
to
sure what
eighth
their grade level is. I think they have been growing it
Growing
into
it.
the middle school.
Okay. Okay. 425. Yes, okay, this is the upcoming guesstimate. Okay. Okay.
If there's no questions, I move approval of item number 7.
I'll second.
Oh, 6.
I'm sorry, 6.
6, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now 7, they're gonna adjust for the the fiscal year we're in. Item 7, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2532. The request for approval of state and/or federal funds for John Rex Charter School District E-028 for the fiscal year 24-25, one that's ending today, for the general fund in the amount of $238,937.04. This item is requested by the County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk. Now, what's the difference between District G007 and District E028?
I can't tell you.
I don't know.
Okay, so this is, obviously, we've already approved that, and this is the adjustment as they have received all of their money for the fiscal year that's ending today. Okay, so I'll be conscious of those two different ones.
I think as long as it's going to John Ray, I don't think there's 2 charters, so
Right.
it's surely the same entity.
Okay.
But move approval of item number 7.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just check on that for us to make sure that isn't a misprint
Yeah.
of E028 and G007.
What's the attachment have on there?
For the one,
For the number 7?
2025.
It says E028.
Okay. All right. I'll do some follow up and see what the difference between the two.
Okay. Okay, item 8, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2619. This is the temporary appropriation for the Oklahoma Virtual Academy. District number Z is in zebra-002 for the fiscal year upcoming 2025-26 as follows. Their general fund in the amount of $28,898,324. That's all. This item is requested by County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk. It is virtual charter. So this is really sort of like Epic. It's all virtual. Okay.
Yeah, they're the second largest.
Okay.
Okay.
About 3 million more than what they had last year.
Last year.
They're probably getting some they're probably estimating some migration from Epic.
Yeah,
Oh,
makes sense.
Move approval of item number 8, Oklahoma Virtual Charter School Academy budget.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Last item, item 9, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 2025-2523, the request for approval of state and or federal funds for Crutcher Public School District number C-074 for the present fiscal year ending today, 2024-25, for their general fund in the amount of $21,062.80. Their child nutrition fund in the amount of $32,908.88. This item is requested by the County Finance Department, Office of the County Clerk. The final adjustment.
Move approval of item number 9, adjustments for Crutcho Public Schools.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we know we'll see you again pretty soon because we gotta start borrowing and moving money, right? Yeah, okay. Any public comments, any other questions? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then I'll follow up on those 2 different school districts for joining our charter school.
Okay, all righty.
Let y'all know.
Thank you.
Board of Equalization today. Okay, I'm gonna call the Board of Equalization special meeting to order. This for Oklahoma County today is Monday, June 30th, 2025. It is now 9:42. We went over on our excise board. We have a full house, Mr. Brett Town,
Present.
Miss Teresa Sellers,
Present.
and I'm Eleanor Thompson, and the assessor is present. Notice of this meeting was properly posted June 25th, 2025. This is decision day. We have 6 items on the agenda. Item 1 is discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of our meetings of May 30th, June 13th, June 16th, June 17th, June 18th, and June 23rd, 2025. Now, just will say for the record, our meeting was postponed from last Tuesday due to the parade, and we shut down the county for the parade. If there are no questions or suggestions of altering the minutes, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes as offered.
Move to approve item number 1 as presented.
I'll second.
How do you vote, Mr. Town?
Yes.
Ms. Sellers?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, decision time. BOE number 150. This is Tabor, Oklahoma City LLC. Account number R154-24-3000. Okay, we have a difference in valuation of $3,006,000 requested by the property owner and $4,860,360 assessed value by the assessor. Okay, this is the Walmart neighborhood. And the issue here, I guess, it's not an owned building, it's a leased building. And there's a drop in the initial value from $5,265,121 by the assessor. Kind of far apart here, nobody knew. The comps, the sales comps, the property owner argued were better than the equity comps, and he compared with other neighborhood markets, which are all over the place. The assessor used cost values, and the valuation was basically the same for the last 4 years. So we have to decide whether the valuation dropped $1,200,000 or what.
To me, there was a 2021 sale. This is a high value triple net lease for 20 years on this property. I don't have any problem with leaving it, the valuation the same as last year.
Fine with that.
I'll entertain a motion to set the valuation of BOE number 150 at $4,860,360.
So moved on item number 2.
I'll second.
Ms. Sellers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Town?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is BOE number 151. BRI Southeast Commerce, account number R140828497. Okay. The assessor dropped from $40,159,571 to $35,759 and thousand. That was the income approach. The market approach would have had a valuation of $34,156,825, and the comps presented a value of $36,687,633. So he's in the assessor's valuation dropped to in the middle of those two valuations. The property owner wants the valuation to be set at $25,049,747. And the argument here was what to do with the asset management fee. And the assessor did the total value adjustment versus per square foot. Okay, we had a problem here with the size of the buildings that were compared. Amazon Home Goods, long-term tenants. We're far apart, 25 million to 35 million. Did we have an opinion about asset management? This is not an apartment complex. Asset management fee is not as essential here as it is when you're dealing with an apartment complex. I don't quarrel with how the assessor dealt with asset management. It's just a matter of whether we think the comps were accurate, and I understood the difference between total value adjustment versus square foot. Okay, so we're really far apart. What did you guys think?
Teresa, what'd you think on
Well,
this?
I'm actually closer to what the assessor is asking for. I didn't particularly like the comps because they were some of them, one was 2019, 120, and 221. But if I looked at just the three newer comps, the 221 and the 2020, it still supports a value of $34,000,007. So it's pretty close to what the assessor said. I'm not anywhere close to what the taxpayer's asking for, 25 million.
Yeah, I'm not either. And based on the income approach and the sales, that valuation the assessor has is reasonable to me.
I'll make a motion on the BOE 151, item number 3 on the agenda to set fair market value of $35,759,000.
Second.
$759,000.
Second.
Mr. Town, how do you?
Yes.
Ms. Sellers, how do you?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Those are my thing. Okay, that's set. Okay, the next item on the agenda is BOE number 152, American Property Investors 1 North Broadway. Okay. This is our hotel. So account number R01001348.5. And we are, the 24 value was the same as this year, 29,547,680. In 23 it was 35 million. The property owner would like to have this assessed at 21,099,639. Okay, the real rub here is how to treat food and beverage. And the owner treated it like it was a leasehold lease space. So he made his comps were based on leasing. And this is this Rushmore for value hotels. So we had to learn. I don't know that it got explained to me who is operating the food and beverage. I know they have a lot of places where you lease out space for certain things, and then you could kind of make that argument. That was not the argument that was made. So I tend to side with the assessor on what he did with the food and beverage. But there's just such a vast difference. The net operating would be substantially less if you take out food and beverage.
Yeah, so,
And when we keep coming down, well, the assessor keeps coming down. We're down from 35 million down to 29,547,680.
yeah, I'm good with the assessor's valuation. I went and looked at what we did last year because we were the ones that decided on that value.
Mhm.
And we did that based off of the comps for other hotels.
Right.
And I gotta think that those other hotels are including the food and beverage, in the cost of that service. So I'm good with the assessor's valuation.
I am too. I mean, this hotel had $2 million just room profit this year, plus the food and beverage. And, if we were to reduce it to the taxpayers' ask, that would be $14 million reduction in 2 years, more than 50%. So or about 40%. So I can't do that. I think we can just keep it the same. So,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to set the fair market value of BOE number 152 at $29,547,680.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Town, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Sellers?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Item 154. Okay. This is account number R207691,280. This is a residence, and the issue is whether this lady, it was a gentleman, that's right, the gentleman could get a freeze. How to do income. So we have an issue of his literal meaning of the words on his tax form versus the definition in the statute. And by the definition in the statute, he could not claim, I'm going to use the word loss. He had a loss that he wanted to say counted to bring his income.
Yeah, what he's asking us to do is would really upset the whole tax system.
Right.
This is something, if a farmer makes $200,000 profit in a year, and on December 31st he goes out, buys $300,000 of equipment, he shows a net loss for the year, but he also had $200,000 equipment. What it doesn't take into account that he's just increased his net worth. So we're dealing with a revenue issue.
Right.
I just don't see how we could prove this.
Yeah, I agree.
And
The
grant
statute,
him
sorry.
what he's asking.
Yeah, the statute clearly says it's gross household income. It does not say adjusted gross household income.
Yeah.
Which is the number that he's trying to use. So I would say that we should deny this request.
I do too. So how do you vote on denying the request on BOE number 154, Mr. Town?
Well, I'll make the motion that we deny it first.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. But I move on item number 5 that we deny the request of the property owner.
I second.
How do you vote, Mr. Town?
Yes.
Ms. Sellers?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we're voting yes on the denial. All right, and the last item on the agenda is BOE number 131.
What date was that originally?
June the 3rd.
Here it is. Okay, so yes, this one was the issue of whether the assessor could show the valuation of improvements made. And the assessor requested a valuation of $5,103,354, and the property owner wanted us to set the fair market value at $4,900,000. This one was sold in May 21st of 24, and it was a distress sale, and there were improvements made, and I don't disagree with this.
I agree.
I agree.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 131, item number 6 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $5,103,354.
I'll second that.
Ms. Sellers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Town?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, that ends the agenda. We have, the assessor have anything to say? Do you know whether business personal got any?
I checked last week. I had not heard it. They did not.
Well, we enjoyed having you guys. That concludes, we think, our residential valuations and our commercial valuations, and just leaves the business person.
Believe so.
Okay, tell Mr. Stein, we thank you. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Oh, go ahead.
I'll second.